Begin with the words of Maureen Killoran. Welcome, you who come in need of healing. You who are confused or have been betrayed. Welcome to your joys and your wonderings. Welcome with your problems and your pain. Welcome your need to hope, your longing for assurance. Instead of answers, here may you find safety for your questions. Instead of promises, may you find community for your struggles. People with hands and hearts to join you in engaging the challenges and changes of our day. Come and let us worship together. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, For All That Is Our Life. It's number 128 in the gray hymnal.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. And all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own lives glad.
I invite you to remain risen as we light our chalice and then say our covenant words together.
Let there be light. Let it shine in dark places, in moments of pain, in times of grief, in the darkness of hatred, violence, oppression, where there is discouragement and despair. Wherever darkness is to be put to flight, let there be light.
Does not want to light.
Let there be light.
Try a different candle. See. Hopefully third time is a charm. Yeah. Let there be light. I now invite you to join me in saying our covenant together, first in English and then in Spanish. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, thus do we covenant. La doctrina de esta iglesia es el amor. La búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es su oración. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en libertad, servir a la humanidad en comunión. Este es nuestro pacto.
Good morning, and welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Jeremy Pace. I use he, she, they as my pronouns, and it is my privilege to serve as worship associate this morning. One bit of housekeeping before I go any further. Please be sure to silence your electronic devices and keep your masks up. Thank you. Let us begin by acknowledging that this is the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Tataviam, Chumash, Tongva, and Kitch peoples. We commit to honoring their elders, past and present and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, and the culture of this area, and to honor this land that we are guests on. Emerson has been a welcoming congregation offering a home for open and inclusive spirituality in the West San Fernando Valley since 1954. We are proud to be a part of the Unitarian Universalist Association, which centers love at the core of a commitment to equity, justice, compassion, and respect for the interdependence of all beings in the cosmos. Here at Emerson, we invite you to bring your whole self, your full identity, your questioning mind, and your expansive spirit. Today we will explore a concept that confused me at first, toxic positivity. When I first came across those two words together, I was sure that I had found the world's most frustrating oxymoron to have ever existed. I love positivity. Who doesn't? And now you're telling me that too much of it can be toxic? My goodness, what a hard thing to face. But I learned that it's really about making space for us to show up however we're feeling and honor our hard emotions, the sadness, the anger or fear in ourselves and in others that come when we bring our whole selves. We gather today for worship both in our physical church in Canoga Park and virtually via Zoom. To our members and friends, I extend a welcome and a thank you for your ongoing fellowship and support. This beloved community would be less without any one of you, and your presence is deeply felt and appreciated. If you are new to Emerson, I hope you find this service both spiritually nourishing and intellectually engaging, and that you feel welcomed here. We encourage you to sign either our physical guest book in the foyer or our virtual guest book linked in the chat on Zoom, where you can sign up to receive our weekly newsletter with service announcements and information about other Emerson program offerings, both in person and online. Like our monthly Inquirer series after the service today at 12, where you can learn more about Emerson Unitarian Universalist and Unitarian Universalism more broadly. This month's theme is Membership 101 and Congregational Life. You can join them in the minister's office or stay on Zoom. And all are welcome to please join us for a coffee hour in our pavilion after the service or a virtual coffee hour on Zoom. And now, before I turn the pulpit over to Reverend Matthew for Story for All Ages, let's take a moment to greet our neighbors in a spirit of fellowship, and feel free to use this opportunity to write a joy or concern in the book of life over there. Thank you.
Oh, yeah? Oh, nice. Uh-huh. Nice.
Embracing the negative and not being afraid. Just get through it.
Uh-huh. That's good.
Yourself and just yourself.
Yeah, that's good. Doing good. Doing good. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, you know. Drove in again from Utah. So yesterday.
Yesterday.
Left in the morning, came home at night. So
Wow.
yes, and I'll leave again tomorrow morning or tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon. Because I have to go to the chemo clinic, and I got to get a crown on my tooth, and then I got to go.
Oh.
So yeah, I've been. It's kind of been crazy. I mean, it's like So a friend of mine, who I'm pretty close to, their father just passed away. So their father and my mom has been kind of going through similar downhill trends. So it's been kind of a lot of, a lot of emotions. What we were talking about today, it's kind of interesting. So I'm kind of interested in this one too.
So, I am really excited for our story for all ages this morning. Perhaps one of the most excited for any story of all ages I've ever done. Because I get to share with you some friends who I think probably almost all of you are familiar with. Hello. Hello. Oh, good to see you this morning. It is a lovely day, isn't it? And I have my friends here with me, too. There's, Piglet. Oh, hi. Good to be here this morning. Oh, well, there's an awful lot of people out here. Oh, that's a lot. That's okay, though. Hey, it's me, Tigger! Woohoo! Oh, let me see. Oh my God, this is a nice thing to bounce on. It's very springy. I really like this. Yeah, not the surfaces to jump around on. And Eeyore. Oh, thought you forgot me. Always last seems to be. Guess that's just the way it is. So, this morning, I have a story featuring the characters from the 100 Acre Woods. And it's a pleasure for me because I've loved reading the Winnie the Pooh books with my daughter, and every night, and she's giving me a thumbs up. And like every time that I put her to sleep, or just about when we do, turn the lights off and tell a story, the request is almost always a story from with the characters from the 100 Acre Woods. And so, today, I have a story. And as I do with my daughter, I just kind of maybe have an idea and tell it. So you're going to get to experience that. No script or anything. Eeyore was off sitting on a hill in the 100 Acre Woods. And he'd been sitting there for quite some time when his friends gathered around. Oh, Pooh, have you noticed that Eeyore, he's been sitting there an awful long time. Hasn't really been doing anything. Oh, I hadn't noticed that. Very interesting. Do you think it might be because he's sad? Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe we should cheer him up. Oh, how do you think we might cheer him up? Let me see. I got some ideas. Let me put my thinking cap on. Let me think about it. Oh, yes, I think that's a very lovely idea, to try and cheer Eeyore up. He does always seem to be quite so grumpy, sad. Well, let me think. Let me go off. Oh, yeah, I think I got an idea. And off Tigger went to get ready for his idea. And pretty soon, Pooh, too, had come up with an idea, even though he was a bear of very little brain. And Piglet was left wondering, oh, I wonder what I could do to cheer Eeyore up. Let me think. And off Piglet went as well. First, Tigger came bouncing up to Eeyore. "Oh, hey there, buddy old pal. How you doing?" "Well, about the same as usual, which is to say, not so great." "Oh, that's too bad. You want to do something fun?" "I don't know. Depends what it is." "Oh, it's the most fun, wonderful thing in the world. It's bouncing." "Well, I'm not sure if I'm really made for bouncing." "Of course you are. Everybody's made for bouncing, and everybody would want to do it. But I don't have a springy tail like you." "That's okay. I got just the idea right here." And with that, Tigger pulled out some springs, which he attached to Eeyore's feet. "I don't know about this, Tigger." "Oh, sure you do. You'll have so much fun. Trust me, bouncing is the best thing in the whole wide world. You could just go like this. Bounce, bounce." And so Eeyore tried to bounce, and he bounced a couple times, and just as he was starting to get the hang of it, he tumbled boom, right into a gorse bush, which, for those of you who don't know, is a very prickly sort of bush and not one wants to tumble into. "Oh, that didn't go quite the way I was expecting. Yeah, I don't really think bouncing is for me." "Oh, okay. Well, see you later, Eeyore." Not too long after, Pooh came wandering up with a pot full of honey. "Hello, Eeyore." "Hello, Pooh." "Good day." "It is a day, I'll give you that." "Well, I was thinking you looked kind of glum, and so I figured you might like a cheering up, so I brought you my favorite thing to eat, which is honey." "Well, I'm not sure that Eeyore's really..." And before Eeyore could even finish his sentence, Pooh had stuck a spoon full of honey right into Eeyore's mouth. Yum, honey, it's so delicious." And so Pooh also reached into his honey pot and started to eat the honey. And he was enjoying it so much that he didn't really notice that Eeyore didn't exactly seem to be enjoying it himself. And when he had finished with his pot, he looked over and noticed that Eeyore had not finished his. "Oh, Eeyore, you've still got some honey there. Here, let me help you with it." And so he took the pot and stuck it right onto Eeyore's face. So he had no choice but to eat the honey, which, of course, he didn't enjoy very much. Well, after this was done, Pooh went off, but Eeyore wasn't feeling any better. Now Piglet, who had been wondering all day what it was that might cheer Eeyore up, could not come up with anything. And so Piglet wandered up to Eeyore and sat beside him on the hill where he'd been sitting. "Oh, hello, Eeyore." "Hello, Piglet. Come to see me?" "Oh, yes, I did." "Oh, that's a surprise. I figured you were just wandering by and happened to run into me." "Oh, no, I was coming to see you. I was here to trying to come up with something to cheer you up, but I couldn't come up with anything good like Tigger or Pooh." "Is that what they were trying to do? Well, I guess it's good that you didn't come up with anything. They weren't exactly very cheerful." "Oh, no?" "No. You see, well, I had a balloon, but it popped." Oh, dear. I'm sorry to hear that." "Yeah, it was nice and shiny, sort of balloonish, round like. I liked it." "I'm sorry to hear that, Eeyore." "Yeah." "Well, look at that up in the sky. Doesn't the sun looks kind of like a balloon, don't you think?" "Huh. Yeah, suppose it does." And they sat there for a while, just looking out at the beautiful day. And after a while, Eeyore said to Piglet, "Thanks for sitting with me. You really brightened up my day." "Oh? I did?" "Yep, just being here. Didn't need any bouncing or honey. Just someone to spend some time with." "Oh, well, I'm glad I could do that." And so, Piglet felt very good that even without being able to come up with something super fun to cheer Eeyore up, Piglet had done just that. Excuse me. So, one of the reasons I love the 100 Acre Woods characters is because there's so many different stories you can tell and so many different emotions, and the characters have different emotions. And sometimes, when we feel sad, sometimes that's all we need is not someone to necessarily cheer us up. That's what our service is about today. Sometimes what we need is someone just to be there with us when we're having a hard time and listen to us or sit with us to provide us comfort. And so in that spirit, we're going to sing a song. It's called "When I Am Frightened." So it's number 1012 in the teal hymnals, and I invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Listen to me quiet. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you be strong for me? Stand by me willingly. Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me, comfort me tenderly? Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
And now I invite you to join me in saying our Unitarian Universalist affirmation and to join me in the hand motions if you know them. We are Unitarian Universalists, a people of open minds, loving hearts, and welcoming hands. Each Sunday for the past couple of years, we have included a land acknowledgement that honors the indigenous people of this land in our service. This month, we are sharing the plate with the Tongva Tarahat Pahava Conservancy, which roughly translates as the people's land. The Conservancy is a land trust which stewards the first land collectively owned by the Tongva tribe in almost 200 years, giving the Tongva access to gathering space for community time and ceremonies and to revitalize culture, language, and traditional land stewardship. Kui Nawa'a is a Tongva people's concept that means guest exchange, and I'll have more to say about what it means to be guests on this land in our service next week. This kui nawa'a, or offering, is a small way for our congregation to acknowledge the history of this land and contribute to its healing, to support the ancestral hosts of this land, present-day Tongva people, and to create a vibrant future. Donations can be made at donate.emersonuuc or using the Breeze mobile app and selecting Sunday offering. If you're writing a check, please make checks payable to Emerson UU Church or just EUUC and write "Share the Plate" in the memo. And if you'd like to make a payment on a pledge instead, please write "Pledge" in the memo instead. Our offerings will now be gratefully received.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
As I've been thinking about this service and the topic of toxic positivity, that no matter how dire or difficult a situation is, people should maintain a positive mindset, it wasn't hitting me as something to watch out for in other people. It was coming across as a warning sign to myself to watch out for being the one who sends this toxically positive energy out. Because when I look at my Pollyanna personality, and just how I wish we could all hold hands and sing, it's not lost on me that I'm a prime candidate for being toxically positive. And I will admit that as far as me being in danger of putting that out there is concerned, 'tis the season. We find ourselves right in between Halloween and Christmas, and I could not be merrier. All right? And thank goodness that this topic is coming up now, because there's no better time for me to reflect on the positivity that I put out there than now. Now, I understand that these holidays might not mean the same thing for other people that they mean for me. This is my bedroom. This is just one tiny little part of my apartment, and after service today, I'm going to go home and decorate my 8 trees in my one-bedroom apartment. And I don't just mean because not everybody celebrates Christmas. Rather, the cheer that I exude during this stretch of the holidays is nothing more to some people than a cold, hard reminder of how, to others, of how sad the holidays can make them feel, whatever holiday it may be. Perhaps it might be a reminder of things that are too hard to face. And because of that awareness that I have, I made a vow years ago not to force my cheer onto others around me. I may have 8 Christmas trees in my home and a holiday sweater for every day of the week. From here until New Year's, it's going to be these, okay? But that doesn't mean that I have to ask others why they haven't gotten into the holiday spirit just yet. I don't need to insist that you put your tree up real soon. And my declarations of "Happy Holidays, friends," with all explanation points, can easily turn into, "How are the holidays going for you, my friend?" instead. I do not wish to burden others with the rigid insistence that they feel as joyous as I do. And I don't believe that you ought to fake happiness in any holiday. The only real gift I wish for everyone is to be able to feel however they feel and not feel bad about it. It's hard enough to feel bad sometimes, and then to feel bad about feeling bad, it creates layers of pain that no one should be feeling. And while I walk with twinkling lights at my feet and I spread the meanings of Christmas and all that I plan on doing, it is my own personal agenda to protect the world and myself from the naive mistake of pushing positivity. Let there simply be peace on earth, I say, even when that peace is with you and how you may not be feeling merry as you hear the songs of the year.
Each week we take time in our service to lift up those joys and sorrows from within our community and in the wider world. This week in our Book of Life, House writes, "I'm excited to have several new plants this week: sphagnum moss, American cranberry, and aquatic bladderwort, and a culture of microorganisms to feed it." David Early writes, "I was very happy on Friday to celebrate my mother's 89th birthday with her in Santa Monica, with a nice lunch and a visit to a senior residential apartment complex where she may be living in the future." And out in the wider world, I know so many of us continue to be stressed, distressed, concerned about what is going on in Israel and Palestine as fighting increases in Gaza and the death toll there exceeds 10,000, the majority of whom are women and children, and calls for ceasefire and release the hostages ring out, we hope against hope. To lessen any more loss of life. And also, our heart breaks for the tensions that are happening here in our country as a result. The rise in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and the deep and sometimes painful disagreements where people feel like they are being asked to choose sides, when to do that is to alienate someone, and to not choose sides is also to alienate someone. And so we hold this incredibly difficult situation with care and compassion for ourselves and for others. In a moment, I'm going to sound this singing bowl, and after I do, I invite you to speak into this space, or if you're online, to type into the chat any joys or sorrows, any names or occasions that are on your heart this morning that you would like lifted up into this community in this, our embracing meditation. Ellie and Marlene and Alex and Cindy. Tom and Kathy, Lindsay and Tim and David. All that we have shared and all that we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, we offer these into the embrace of this beloved community. I invite you to join me now in a spirit of meditation or prayer. Spirit of life, known by many names, yet by no name fully known. We gather today with hopes and dreams, and also with fears and wounds. New plants and birthdays and transitions and grief. May we be reminded that all things come and go. That today's joys and sorrows will in time give way to those of tomorrow, and that those of us who have strength to share today ought to do so while we can, and that those who are in need ought to allow ourselves to receive, for those roles might well be reversed tomorrow. Spirit of life, help us to remember those who are not here with us today, those who need what we have found here, and those who have what we here need. May we always be open to growth and change, to movement, to grace. In the name of all that is holy and in all the holy names that have ever been uttered, and those that have not even yet been imagined, let us say, Amen, Ashe, blessed be. I invite you to join me in singing, Walking with You is My Prayer. All of the lyrics to the song are right there in the title. Just listen the first time if you don't know it.
Walking with you, walking with you is my prayer.
One more time.
Walking with you, walking with you is my prayer.
Singing with you.
Singing with you, singing with you is my prayer.
Weeping.
Dreaming with you is my prayer.
Dreaming.
Dreaming with you is my prayer.
Being.
Being with you is my prayer.
Being. One more time.
Being with you is my prayer.
One more time.
Being with you is my prayer.
When people ask, "How are you?" I often pause and check in with myself. How am I doing? How am I feeling? Rather than just exchanging an automatic, "Good, and you?" Although sometimes I do that too. Occasionally, pleasantries are all that's called for because I don't need to unburden myself to some random clerk at the grocery store. Sometimes when I say I'm doing okay, that's met with a "just okay?" And I'm unsure if they're asking me to elaborate what it has me feeling just okay, or is it just okay? Like, what? Why aren't you happy? Or when checking in at the beginning of meetings, I'll typically be honest about what's going on with me, how I'm feeling. When I share something hard, I'm not asking anyone to fix it, not even looking for empathy necessarily, although that's always welcome. Just wanting to be seen, for people to know how it is that I'm arriving in this space at this moment. It's important, the ritual of checking in, because it's through getting to know each other, through our ups and our downs, that we begin to create bonds of community. But to me, it's especially important to share those hard feelings because so often in American culture, there's an expectation that we always be positive. And I know if I'm upset about, say, something bigger than me, say the suffering in Israel and Palestine, or the latest mass shooting, then I'm pretty sure that someone else is too. And naming that pain, that fear, that anger, that sorrow helps normalize that it's okay to not be okay. In her book, Bright-Sided, How Positive Thinking is Undermining America, Barbara Ehrenreich, a journalist, writes, "Americans are positive people. This is our reputation as well as our self-image. We smile a lot and are often baffled when people from other cultures do not return the favor. Being positive in affect, in mood, in outlook seems to be ingrained in our national character," she says. And it comes with familiar sayings. Look on the bright side. The glass is half full. Make lemons out of lemonade. At least with the British practice of keeping a stiff upper lip and restraining your emotions in the face of hardship, you don't also have to pretend like you're happy. "Oh, it's actually great that I got laid off because now I get to reinvent myself." Not that the stoicism is necessarily great either. And that's not to say that we can't find positive feelings arising out of difficult situations, like the loss of a job, or how the end of a troubled relationship might feel like something of a relief, if those positive feelings feel natural to you. But to have the expectation that everybody should be able to cheer up or be positive is where we get into trouble. That's when we start to venture into toxic positivity. Now, toxic positivity is defined as an obsession with positive thinking, that we should put a positive spin on every experience, no matter how difficult or troubling. And while numerous studies have shown that positive feelings like contentment, optimism, self-confidence, and gratitude are good for our physical and mental well-being, positivity can be toxic when it leads to the avoidance, suppression, or rejection of the negative emotions that naturally arise when we're confronting challenges or navigating life's hardships. Toxic positivity is not just to see the glass as half full, but to pretend that the glass is much fuller than it actually is. Or to pretend that the glass isn't lying shattered on the floor. Some losses aren't also opportunities. They're just losses. Like when someone you love dearly dies. Sometimes there is no silver lining, or it's so faint that it's all but inconsequential. But generally, Americans aren't great at dealing with difficult emotions. All too often the tendency is to try to make the other person feel better with phrases like, look on the bright side, or you'll get over it, or how could you be unhappy? You have so much to be grateful for, or so what if your job sucks? At least you have one. Where, intentionally or not, the subtext is, please make your difficult emotions go away. I don't know how to deal with them. I can almost hear Tony Bennett crooning, gray skies are gonna clear up, put on a happy face, brush off the clouds and cheer up, put on a happy face, take off the gloomy mask of tragedy, it's not your style. You'll look so good that you'll be glad you decided to smile. Now, scientists have found that simply smiling can increase positive emotions, and they can actually also spread, smiles can spread amongst people kind of contagiously, but that's only true. Those positive emotions only arise if the smile is not forced. The smile has to be genuine, coming from a place of joy. And that's not what I hear when Bennett sings, slap on a happy grin. I hear, put on a mask. Maybe he wants you to feel better, but I can't help but think it's because he doesn't want to deal with difficult emotions, at least in part. Because we live in a society that's uncomfortable with negative emotions, one which encourages people to try to stuff them down and hide them away. But bottling up your emotions for others' comfort is unhealthy. In avoiding those negative emotions, we are unable to work through them, giving them greater control over us. Moreover, it creates a disconnection between who we really are and the mask that we're putting on for the world, says clinical psychologist Jamie Long. In that gap, there's shame. Barbara Ehrenreich, whose picture was the inspiration for that one, first decided to write Bright-Sided after going through treatment for breast cancer and feeling isolated by the almost universally upbeat tone in the forums and blogs about breast cancer, like the cancer survivor who wrote in her memoir that cancer is your ticket to your real life. Cancer is your passport to the life you were truly meant to live. Or the lore of the disease shared with her by oncology nurses as well as survivors, that chemotherapy smooths and tightens the skin and helps you lose weight. And when your hair comes back, it will be fuller, softer, easier to control, and perhaps a surprising new color. Ehrenreich wasn't there. She was grappling with difficult emotions, understandably. And when she posted on a message board about her anger, briefly listing her complaints about the debilitating effects of chemotherapy, recalcitrant insurance companies, environmental carcinogens, and most daringly, sappy pink ribbons, she writes, she was met by a chorus of rebukes, like Susie, who wrote, I really dislike saying you have a bad attitude towards all of this, but you do. And it's not going to help you in the least. Oof. Ehrenreich continues, rather than providing emotional sustenance, the sugar coating of cancer can exact a dreadful cost. It requires the denial of understandable feelings of anger and fear, all of which must be buried under a cosmetic layer of cheer. This is a great convenience for healthcare workers and even friends of the afflicted who might prefer fake cheer to complaining, but it's not so easy on the afflicted, she writes. So if you find yourself telling someone to turn that frown upside down, or reaching for some other well-worn platitude, maybe offer words of comfort that meet the person where they are instead. A simple, "I'm sorry for your loss." That sounds really tough. Or, "I don't know what to say. I can't imagine what you're going through, but I want you to know that I love and care about you." Might be all that's needed. Or maybe it's just to listen. As Maya Angelou said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." You don't need to fix them or their situation. Just be there. Because shouldering some great burden feels that much harder when you feel like you've got to bear it on your own. But sometimes that toxic positivity doesn't come from others, it comes from within. And there is something to be said for turning a grumpy feeling around. There's not much use in walking around in a bad mood because you dropped your ice cream cone, disappointing as it might be. And the lactose was going to give you gas anyway, right? But a 2013 study showed that looking for silver linings is only beneficial when you don't have any control over the situation. Otherwise, it prevents you from noticing the places where you can take initiative. But I think the most insidious strain of positive thinking isn't so much when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, but when life gives you lemons, squeeze out a smile. It's the idea that simply having positive emotions is enough to change reality. But having positive emotions is only part of the picture. Positive emotions won't make cancer go into remission or get you a job. Now, it might help in conjunction with medical treatments, or give you the motivation to put in lots of job applications or the confidence to do great at an interview. But sometimes things just don't pan out. Ehrenreich writes, "Without question, there is a problem when positive thinking fails and the cancer spreads or eludes treatment. Then the patient can only blame herself. She is not being positive enough. Possibly it was her negative attitude that brought on the disease in the first place." Ehrenreich continues, "Positive thinking has made itself useful as an apology for the crueler aspects of the market economy." If you're wondering where you've heard the name Barbara Ehrenreich, you might know it from her 2001 book, Nickel and Dimed, which was about getting by or not in America. She writes, "If optimism is the key to material success, and if you can achieve an optimistic outlook through the discipline of positive thinking, then there's no excuse for failure. The flip side of positivity is thus a harsh insistence on personal responsibility. If your business fails or your job is eliminated, it must be because you didn't try hard enough, didn't believe firmly enough in the inevitability of your success." Now, I'm not here promoting negativity. The alternative to positive thinking isn't negative thinking. It's realism. Making an honest appraisal of what's really happening as best as we are able. to see the world not totally colored by our wishes or our fears. Accepting things as they are and as we are, as we face difficult times in our lives, can provide us individually and collectively a more honest and compassionate way forward. In that breast cancer forum, surely there were others who were also struggling with anger and other difficult feelings. And Ehrenreich, naming her true emotions, undoubtedly supported others to feel less alone in those difficult emotions. In our listening, we can provide space for greater acceptance of emotions. What if you didn't have to fix anything or put a positive spin on it? What if all that was needed was your deep presence? As Brene Brown writes, empathy is feeling with people, and empathy is sacred space. What if just being with someone was enough to make the not okay more manageable? And in these times, empathy could change a lot. Maybe so. A couple quick announcements. This Saturday is our annual Fall Festival and auction from 2 to 5 p.m. If you haven't RSVP'd, you can use that QR code. There's also links in the e-blast and on the website to do it. We've published the brochure, but maybe adding a few things. So if there's some item that you meant to get included that you haven't yet included that you would like to offer for our silent auction, you can do that. There's another link there. It should be a really great time. A lot of great offerings already on order, trips and lots of great meals and activities. One of the other things that is on offer is getting to pick the sermon topic for one Sunday, which in fact was this Sunday's service. So last year, our former office administrator, Deborah Posner, bid that and won. I know some of you haven't never met Deborah because she wasn't usually here on Sundays, but she's here if you want to say hi, because it was probably a name that you may have known. So it was a pleasure to get to preach on this topic, and thank you for suggesting something that I probably wouldn't have thought of anyway. And so you can also pick something, whatever you want. You might want me to talk about the theology of Star Trek or The Bachelor. I don't know what that would be, but you could request it. I don't know what I would say, but if there's something that you'd like to hear from this pulpit, that is an opportunity. So again, I hope to see you next Saturday. And if you can't make it, if there's still spaces available, we'll have opportunities to sign up for those things that are still left afterwards. Also, starting this Tuesday, I have a session or a series called The Shared Pulpit that I'm co-facilitating with our worship chair, Todd Covert, about writing. If you want to sign up, please talk to me today or email me today. It's kind of the last opportunity, but it's based out of the idea that we all have stories to tell. We all have things that we can preach from. It's not just limited to ministers, and that is part of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. So that starts Tuesday. I don't have a slide for it, but after the service today, we have our Environmental Justice Ministry workshop, which is going to be here in the sanctuary. It's the, exploring how we can get more grounded for the incredibly important work of climate justice that is so desperately needed during these times. And also, as Jeremy mentioned earlier, our Inquirer series for newcomers is after the service. It's going to be on Zoom and in the minister's office starting at noon. So you can talk to me about that if you're interested, or just stay on Zoom. And now I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing. Oh, wait, sorry. I apologize. Thank you. You can still, if you don't want to sit back down, just be very quick. Thank you to everyone who made this service possible. Thanks to Jeremy, who stepped in to fill an unexpected gap, and as worship associate twice in a row, 2 Sundays in a row. So thank you for that. Thank you for Conrad up in the tech booth, for Kevin and Adam with the music, with our ushers and the folks at our welcome desk, and those setting up for coffee hour, and those who don't know it yet but will be cleaning up for coffee hour, and our hosts on Zoom. So, all right, now please rise in body or in spirit as we sing, Gonna Let Life Move Me.
2, 3.
There's a call and response. Gonna let life move me. Gonna let life stir me deep. Gonna let life wake me from an ancient sleep. Gonna let life wake me from an ancient sleep. Gonna laugh all my laughter. Laugh all my laughter. Gonna cry all my tears. Gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Let's sing it together now. Gonna let life move me. Gonna let life stir me deep. Gonna let life wake me from this ancient sleep. Gonna laugh all my laughter. Gonna cry all my tears. Gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Gonna let life move me. Gonna let life move me. Gonna let life wake me from this ancient sleep. Gonna laugh all my laughter. Gonna cry all my tears. Gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Gonna let life move me. Gonna let life stir me deep. Gonna let life wake me from this ancient sleep. Gonna laugh all my laughter. Gonna cry all my tears. Gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Gonna love the rain. Gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. Note to self, don't play tambourine while you're leading a song. It's a little bit too much. You live and you learn. All right, so I invite you now to join hands and make a connection, or to bump elbows, touch a shoulder, make some sort of connection as you feel comfortable. Those of you on Zoom, I invite you to reach out, send your energy out to everyone else on Zoom and here in the sanctuary as we send ours back to you. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving.